All right. Welcome, guys. This is a very exciting day. We will be sharing a presentation with you. But first of all, thank you for taking time of your day to figure all of this out, right? Raíces Cyber is here to walk hand in hand with you. We understand that looking for a job right now, it's a bit overwhelming. And we are here with an expert, someone who has been recruiting for cybersecurity roles for the last 15 years almost. So, 10 to 15, right?
23.
Oh my goodness. Never mind. We have someone who has been recruiting for over 2 decades. And it's so exciting. Raíces Cyber is so thankful and blessed to have Amy Knoll as a friend and someone who's coaching our participants throughout the way. So I appreciate you for being here. I cannot thank you enough, Amy, for everything that you do for us. So if you don't mind, as I'm going to step out of the screen, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I will make sure to share the presentation with everybody. And there's kind of like a surprise or an extra thing for those who are attending in person. So, congratulations for taking this time. Amy, thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Of course. So I've been placing people. I placed my first firewall. It was called a firewall engineer in 2001. So I've been doing this for a very long time. I've seen the market shift up and down, where security was a very important thing for companies to have. And then I've seen it also shift to, okay, it's a cost center. So, and there's so many people on the market right now. It's very difficult for candidates to navigate through this cybersecurity market the way it is today with AI filtration software, with the competition. So I wanted to explain and share things that I've learned that make candidates stand out and help them to navigate the market. It's not going to be like a proven science, but I can at least share with you some things that I have seen work in the past, and but especially right now, for juniors as well as people pivoting from IT over to cybersecurity. It's the same thing. So to some degree. So I wanted to share some things that I have seen in the market right now that make a difference, to help you to find something that's going to be worthwhile and something in the lane that you want to be in. So I'm
Awesome.
very happy to be a part of Raíces and share this knowledge. I'm very passionate about it, and I love to help people to get into the space and to keep them in the space. So we can we can move forward if you'd like. So I want to talk about how hiring really works. So it's pretty structured to some degree, but in this current market, it's been all over the place. And I'm sure that many of you have applied to several jobs and haven't heard back. If I could have a hand raise on that, I'm sure we would have so many. So, but now in the market that we're in, the roles are very specialized. I've seen entry level roles that require a CISSP, which you have to have 5 years of experience to get a CISSP. So it doesn't really make sense. So it's really difficult to navigate through this market the way it is today. But there's things that you can do that will absolutely help. So roles are very specialized. Resumes need to be very specialized and show the relevancy to your background to those specialized roles. So, because they're filtered by signals, and recruiters prioritize verifiable evidence over vague claims. For example, if you say something like, and we'll go through this in a little bit, skilled network security engineer, like that's not necessarily working now if you don't have any of that experience. So one of the things I wanted to mention is specialization. Do you know what direction you want to go in? Do you know if you want to be a security operations professional, an application security professional, a cloud security professional, or a government risk compliance professional. There's so many jobs. There's actually, my latest count was 60 different types of jobs in cybersecurity. So there's got to be a lane that you feel, based on your personality and your skills and the way that you think, you've got to decide what lane you're going to be in. So a specialization is very important. Um, with filtering, because of this piece, I mean, AI filtration programs are highly prevalent in the market right now for internal HR and talent acquisition people. They're using this filtration software that's searching for keywords. So if you've never worked with the technology, they're not going to see you. So what do you do? It reduces the pool really quickly because it's like, okay, this first page of people has all the skills that I need and they're mentioning the technology I need. But maybe you're coming up on page 3 with the applicants and they're not going to see that unless you have some of those keywords. Don't ever lie. Be very, very honest because somebody will find out. And you don't want to do that anyway. We have integrity in this business. So it's very important to show evidence that's concrete proof of projects, a lab you have at home. It beats out adjectives like strong network security engineer or skilled, things like that. Um, so you're basically needing to create your digital profile, your footprint within this market. And I'm going to tell you how to do that throughout this conference or this webinar. So I'm going to tell you how you can separate yourself from other folks that are getting, that aren't having success so you can. So today's focus is leverage and not theory. Like it's not like, in theory I'm great at being a security operations analyst. That might be your thought, but are you really? And what proof do you have to stand behind that claim? So applied proof and strategic visibility is incredibly important. So practical moves you can act on this week. One of the huge things is personal brand. Signal, direction, and seriousness comes across profiles. So your LinkedIn profile is a huge piece of your personal brand. I mean, you have your profile on Facebook, you say what you do, you people know your personality. At the same time, on your LinkedIn profile, you have to create a personal brand. Like, what is this person about? What is this woman or man about? How are they bringing about their skills to really create that personal brand? So applied proof, that means setting up a home lab and setting up and having projects that demonstrate your capability. It's incredibly important. If you don't have a home lab, we actually have supplemental material after this webinar that'll show you some setup information. And we also have like a little bit we're going to cover on here, but some basics. But we also have a supplemental document that's going to help you if you don't know how to set up a home lab. It's pretty easy, to get it started. You can even go to Marketplace and get a couple laptops and a server, those types of things. You can even go to a pawn shop and get these things. There's not very expensive to set up a home lab if you do it the right way. So the next thing is strategic visibility, like being targeted with who you are trying to target to find positions. So your personal brand is extremely important. It's not about marketing fluff. It's a signal recruiters read before they even talk to you. Like, I always look at headlines of folks. What are they saying? And then I dig into their profile and say, okay, if they're a junior person, what else are you doing to stand out in this market as a junior or entry level person? Your brand needs to be precise and evidence forward, meaning you need to have a home lab. If you're looking for a security analyst position or to get into cybersecurity, you need it and you would want it anyway. You need to understand these things, not to mention the fact that you can put down different technologies that are going to be picked up with these AI programs that are doing the filtration. Like if you've have worked at home in your lab with Splunk, for example, as a sim, did a free program, you can put that on your resume in your lab. And we've done previous webinars on how to format your resume, as well as how to stand out once you apply to a position or how to stand out as an applicant. So you can go back and see those previous presentations, and that will give you some ideas of what to do on your resume and where to put this lab content. So use depth when you're doing that, and it shows seriousness. And ambiguity signals inexperience. Take it off. Like it's like, if you've just done one thing that is, if you have a CEH and that's the only thing you've done, you're not going to get noticed. So have a clear direction, have a clear role headline, meaning SOC analyst, GRC analyst, aspiring GRC analyst, things like that, that will make sure that you're really going for something specific. Okay. So cybersecurity is too broad. Aspiring cybersecurity professional, too broad. Choose precision, a single lane that's tightly related to lanes increasing discoverability in recruiter match notes or rates. So if you're a SOC analyst and you want to go into that and you have a lab that has SIM and log analysis, incident response stuff, you want to say SOC analyst, junior SOC analyst, looking for a role to move forward in my career. Or the headline should be SOC analyst. Especially if you've done those lab things, you can put junior or you can just put SOC analyst. Same thing with threat detection. If you're really into threat hunting, detections, some pen testing, things like that, put that on there. Cloud security, if you're doing cloud security and want to get into that, scanning, privilege access, things like that, and you want to get into that, that's a great thing. So you can do those things with the home lab too, as well as GRC and IAM, like policy risk assessments. It's just a matter of looking to find where those free programs are. And every now and then, if you need to pay for a little something, do it, but don't do it if it's really expensive. There's so many resources out there that are free right now. Same thing with application security. So you've coded in the past and you've been doing it since you were in high school and you really like coding. Application security is probably going to be a good lane for you. SAST and DAST and secure coding reviews, threat modeling, all those things would be perfect for somebody who knows how to code. If you don't know how to code, but you're learning it, probably be a SOC analyst. So claims like skilled, that has no skilled so-and-so that has no backing, it's not going to bode well for you. Words alone increase perceived risk. Like, does this person really know what they're doing? Replace vague claims with concise, verifiable proof that reduces hiring friction, meaning you really want to write outcomes and focus bullets. Like, what projects have you worked on at home and in internships and at part-time jobs or any job that you're in? There's a lot of junior people that have worked for a year and a half, 2 years. So write outcomes that are focused bullets around those projects. What have you worked on? What technologies and software have you used? What tools have you used? So an example can be replace skilled in network security, which I was talking about before, with a detection lab parsed 2 million events this week, identified 12 unique threat attacks mapped to attack. So like being very specific, like the headline needs to be network security analyst or network security engineer. And then on the profile, it needs to have that you're working in that detection lab and what you did in that detection lab. So, like I said, again, there's going to be examples from previous webinars that we did on where to put this info, but you need to put it on there. So, surface artifacts, we're talking about linking playbooks, GitHub repositories, and detection rule snippets. I would encourage everybody on this call to set up a home lab, and then if you're doing any coding, automation, things like that in GitHub, put those GitHub links with the results that you're working on and what you're working on, tool specific, with every single thing that you're touching in that GitHub link, and as well as on your resume and on your profile. Because again, it's going to create that search engine optimization. If there's an AI filtration program and they don't see some specific technology, you're probably not going to get noticed. And it's like, well, what technologies do I do? Well, it depends on what lane you want to be in. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about a home lab. It's the quickest way to convert theory into verifiable evidence, as I said. It closes the experience gap and supplies talk through stories for interviews. It's incredibly important that you have examples and stories to talk through in your interviews. If you do not, it's not going to be a great interview. So, what have you done with Splunk? Nothing. That's okay, but if you've done something in the past, it's really good to have examples of that and stories that you can tell that will demonstrate that from a verifiable resource, rather than just saying, I understand Splunk, I understand network security, I understand security operations centers. Yeah, okay, but what have you done? Do you do a home lab? Do you have something that you can show that's a verifiable result of things that you have done that's verifiable? It's incredibly important. And like I said, you can put this on your LinkedIn profile, and I would match the LinkedIn profile to your resume. So let's talk about this. A focused home lab addresses the experience gap. A weak resume, bullets, an interview hesitation, and inconsistent content. You need to have verifiable artifacts that recruiters can identify. So you design repeatable scenarios. Maybe you're doing a phishing investigation, a host-based escalation. Maybe you're capturing artifacts like logs, detection rules, timelines, and postmortems. Document the steps in a public repo, meaning repository, and short walkthroughs. And I know that this sounds like it might be like, you know, um, just above people's heads, but it's something to think about. So if you have can you go back to that slide? if you if you have a home lab is a force multiplier. It makes you and creates a stronger resume. It also gives you interview confidence too. You close the experience gap, because even if I wasn't able to work with it at this job or so far because I just graduated, and things like that, and I've only had the classroom experience, that's okay. You can close that experience gap with setting up a home lab correctly, and then you have a portfolio of your experience. It's just the same as having a portfolio if you're going for another type of job. Here's my personal brand. Here is what I've done. And you close that experience gap. It helps you to have a stronger resume by far. And not to mention, it helps with that search engine optimization and fights against that AI filtration resume system that's going on out there in the market today. So, and not for nothing, but it gives you interview confidence too. It's like, hey, I know I did this. So I'm going to be able to have a strong interview because I know that I've done this piece of it. So it really helps to do this, a focused home lab, to do whatever avenue that you're trying to do. because that shows initiative, confidence, and doing something above and beyond what other people are doing. Okay. So that's that piece. I just wanted to really hit on that. Okay. So what do I do, Amy? How do I start this home lab? Start simple, but execute it well. You don't need an enterprise. You don't need like a whole enterprise system and all this gear. Start with virtualization, like 2 operating system images, a defined objective, and a repeatable process. Execution and clear documentation create credibility. Complexity does not. So you don't have to go crazy and get like a million things and have like CNN Center in your basement. But it would be really good to have a couple of different operating systems in there, including the minimum kit I would suggest would be Windows and Linux, and vulnerability management, VMware within that, so you can capture network logs, things like that. So hypervisor, Windows, VMware, Linux, VMware, captured network logs. And as I mentioned before, I do have a document that has specific things that you should get in that lab as a minimum that will help you to navigate through how to set up a home lab. Okay, so that will be in there, and we can send out as a supplement. So define objectives. I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to create detection rules? Are you working on exploit remediation? Are you doing an incident timeline? And that will come once you set up the lab. Then it's like, okay, what do I want to do? What's my lane? And then from there, you decide, okay, what do I want to do to show my skills and my experience, or that I can do this piece of it? So those are some of the examples that are defined objectives once you have that lab in place. You can't just like have the lab and like have nothing, you don't know what's going on. So it's important to define that lane and see what you'd like to do. You can experiment with various different things. You know, maybe you think that you want to do security operations, but then you look at GRC and you're like, you know what? I like this better. And that's okay. Play around with it. That's the big thing, to help you define the objectives of what you're trying to do. The other thing is create things once you figure that out. Create things that are repeatable processes, because the more things that you create that are repeatable, the better. Like you're able to document your steps. You're able to know what expected outputs are and how to validate those results. If you don't know that, then you can't put that on your information. You can't put that on your profile or resume. So the steps are minimum kit. Let's get the lab going. Let's find out what our lane is. And then let's create something that's repeatable processes that we can put on our profile as well as our resume. Yep. And here we're talking about again. So, excuse me, if you're SOC focused, I would work on log analysis, detection tuning, incident write-ups, and again, show repeatable outcomes and measurable detection improvements. If you're SOC focused, which I suggest that's the best job to get into, and from an entry level, junior level perspective, for people that have been in IT for a while that are pivoting, I don't think that it's a bad path either. There's a whole nother meeting I can give on systems engineers transferring to network security engineers, but we'll do that later. But it's okay if you start back at the beginning and really understand SOC, because that's the foundation of security from a technical standpoint. However, if you're not super technical, I'm not, but that's okay. If you're GRC focused, government risk compliance, you would rather do that piece of it. Look at risk assessments, control mapping, policy drafting, and demonstrate risk reductions, map controls, and clear policy ownership. There's a whole nother path for GRC focused folks. So I would look at those free certifications, free training, free anything, because we like stuff for free, that you can learn that has these components in it if you want to be GRC focused. They're both extremely relevant in this market. Like there's SOC analyst roles that are all over the place. SOC analyst is the foundation of building on your security skills to security engineer and then possibly to cloud security engineer, things like that. So if you're looking for a place to start, SOC is a great place. But if you're not technical, look at GRC. It's really cool and it's really interesting. And there's a ton of opportunities there too. I think a lot of people don't look at that. So documentation creates asset. So your lab is more than practice. It's a reusable evidence. Document experiments, failures, and results. So each lab session becomes a marketable asset, meaning you can show these repeatable actions. It helps you to create resume credibility, concise bullet points tied to measurable outcomes. Home lab consists of XYZ. I have done these practices within that lab on the resume. And LinkedIn contact or content, post your breakthroughs that showcase applied skills and thought process. Hey, I was in my home lab, I did XYZ, and I found out that this is the piece, and I'm really excited about it. What do you guys think? Have you experienced this? Things like that. Those are huge points, and it's going to get people to listen. And that's the thing. And we're going to go back to personal brand. You've got to show that you have these skills and you have professional confidence that you can build and document wins based on with your portfolio that you can point to. Undocumented work has no market value at all. If you're like, well, I've got a lab and I've done XYZ. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. If you don't set up those points and put them out there, then they don't exist. If you don't document it, it doesn't exist. So you have to do that, and you have to make it consistent with your LinkedIn profile as well as your resume. Okay. So let's talk about LinkedIn. Treat LinkedIn as a discovery engine. Optimize profiles, turn passive searches into active opportunities. Build searchability, specific, I can never say that word, specificity, I said it, and consistent signals that map to hiring criteria. Meaning, again, we're going to go back to this. Use the role-specific keywords, SOC analyst, detection engineering, in the headline and skills. Be specific. List specification or specialization, tools and outcomes. Ambiguity costs you interviews. If you're ambiguous, no. If you're ambiguous in your profile and your resume, it's not going to help you. Be very specific and have measurable documentation that shows that, hey, I've done this. I've worked on this. So again, it's important to update that and be really consistent. Keep experience, certifications, and projects current. Mirror language used in target job descriptions. I tell people this all the time. I'm like, okay, you want a SOC analyst role? Go look at various SOC analyst roles that are posted on LinkedIn and Indeed and all the different job sites, and look at the language and see what they want, see what they need, and then go find out how to get that experience. If it's free online, you've got a home lab, go do it, because it's going to only increase your marketability and help you to get that job and land that interview, which is important. So keep it updated and very consistent. Keep experience, certifications, and projects current, and mirror the language for the target job descriptions with your resume. Only if you have it, though. Don't lie, because somebody will find out, like I said. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we're talking about LinkedIn still. So LinkedIn is a discovery engine. Okay, recruiters I'm telling you this, I look every single day um, for new candidates for my clients. Okay. And what I look at is I look at their profile, I look how updated it is, I look if it has some depth in it, and I look for keywords, but I also look to see what they're doing on their own, and I look at their posts too. Like, what are they commenting on? Are they posting valid information? So, are they involved in the cybersecurity community? Are they passionate about it? Are they taking initiative to show, okay, I'm in this and I know what I'm doing? I'm putting out articles that I find very important and relevant for this time frame that we're in. So those are extremely important. It's like your online profile, which I know that's what it is, but you have to put detailed information in there and you have to post. So recruiter search daily, silence removes you from consideration. If you don't ever post on your LinkedIn profile, I think that's weird. I'm like, when is the last time this person posted? Are they not even involved in the network, in the market? What's going on? I look at their posts, and other recruiters do too. So we've got to think about LinkedIn as a discovery engine and make sure that we have clarity as well as activity. Activity is very important. If I see something that hasn't posted in like 6 months, I'm like, what the heck is this person doing? Are they doing what they need to do? Probably not. I don't know. But anyways, like make it searchable too, like strategic keywords in the headline, the summary, and experience. If you work with Linux, VMware, or something like that, or Splunk and or Logarithm and did a free course, all those things, put all those things on your resume. You don't have to put it all in the headline, but make sure it's in there and your experience in the lab section or self-study section, which, like I said, we have the other webinars that are available. So be very specific, define your specialization and tools, be the answer to the recruiter's query. I can tell you this, if I look at a profile and I have any questions about that person, like if there's any concerns, things like that, and I have 1,000 other applicants, I might not call that person because I have a question. And to take the time to go through everybody that I have a question about is extremely timely. So be very specific with your specialization and the tools that you've used. Don't create a situation where I'm looking at your profile and I'm like, I have this question, and this question for this person. Be very direct, concise, and specific. So updated. Update your profile literally once a month, if nothing else. I mean, at least once a month. Recent projects, certifications, and post signal activity and relevance. I update my profile probably every 2 or 3 days with different things, different jobs, different projects, different things like that, different posts that I find really relevant, that I want to share, comments, things like that. So be consistent with it. Match your voice across your resume, LinkedIn, which is your portfolio. Inconsistencies on your resume or LinkedIn profile creates doubt. And like I said, I posted an incident response role the other day. I got 2,300 applicants to that role. So what do? Of course, I look to see who's the most searchable, who has the most specific tools, who has updated their account, and who keeps it consistent with their resume, LinkedIn, and their portfolio. Because if they don't, then I'm probably not going to call them. So, I mean, honestly, I can't call 2,300 people. So just keep that in mind. It's very important. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. So let's talk about once you apply to a position, because I know people are applying like crazy to multiple positions and not hearing back at all. Okay. So let's talk about this for a minute. The applications go into a queue Visibility starts with the conversation of your profile, your LinkedIn profile, and your resume. That's kind of your digital conversation that you're putting out to these people. So once you apply to a job, target people that can create access, not just post jobs. So what I'm saying by that is you apply to company XYZ, you don't hear back for, say, 3, 4 days a week. What do you do next? If it were me, and I've actually told many people to do this, and it is working, find the right contacts within that company. If it's a security operations analyst, then go find the manager of security operations and send them a connection request. Reach out to security managers, team leads, directors. These roles are open pathways beyond just their ATS that uses AI. So do not be afraid to do that. It changes everything. If you engage with hiring managers and their teams to convert an application into a conversation, that's what you're trying to do. And now we're going to talk about what to say with those. So, strategic outreach. Outreach is simple, respectful, and specific, not long. Hey, I'm a new person in cybersecurity and I've been doing this and this and that. Don't do that. Don't do that. They'll stop reading it after like 2 sentences. So, taking the initiative improves your chances to land an interview. So, what I would do and what I suggest my candidates do is send a connection request to these leaders of that company you applied to. It's not taking it too far, it is taking initiative. So, hey, John, I would love to connect. Thanks. Short, polite, non demanding. All right. Once they accept, because a lot of times they will, they just click off accept, accept, accept. That's how it goes, especially over the phone or over mobile. It's really easy to accept a lot of connection requests. So, but once they accept, you need to watch your network on LinkedIn. And as soon as that person accepts your connection request, I'm interested in this job role. Could you point me in the right direction to have a conversation? Thank you for your time. Okay. That's not a pressure email. That's taking initiative, asking for directions, not a favor. And you've got to keep it very short and succinct and specific. So put the job title in there. You can also add your resume, okay, to that post or to that message. I would do that too. I applied for this job. Here's my resume. I would love to have a conversation with the right person. That's what I. That's what I consult with candidates and tell them to do. So, how do you increase your presence on LinkedIn? Sustainable habits beat bursts of activity. Set a cadence that you can maintain so your brand compounds over time. So, I would suggest one strong post a week, focus on quality, clear program approach, result. I would find 5 meaningful posts that you can comment on. Engage thoughtfully on peers' posts to build reciprocity and visibility. Okay, so post something once a week that you see, all right, that's an interesting article. Hey, so and so got hacked. Oh, I'm going to repost this. Or so and so has this new thing where they had an acquisition and it's a security company. That's interesting. I'm going to repost this with my comments. One strong post a week will keep your visibility high. 5 meaningful comments, it helps you engage. So if somebody posts something that's really cool, comment on it. This is really meaningful information. I'm super excited to hear this, or whatever you want to say. Any comment's a good comment, unless it's, you know, not. But, anyways, and then 10 intentional connections every single week. Target hires, peers, hiring managers relevant to the niche each month. You want to have 10 intentional connections that you send them connections and say, hey, I would love to connect. I'm new in the industry, would love to talk with you. Or, you don't even have to say that. Hey, I'd love to connect. It's very short and sweet, but try to have intentional connections where you can make sure that you're hitting the right people. Like if you're interested in SOC analysis, send connection requests to SOC managers. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They don't accept the connection. So go back and make sure, hey, I've got to send it out to more people so I can get 10 for the week. And it keeps you active on and your presence active on LinkedIn, which is incredibly important to have that cadence and to make sure your brand compounds after over time. Okay. So let's move on. All right. So we'll just talk about what recruiters actually notice, which we talked about quite a bit, but we scan very quickly. Um, very quickly. I spend probably 4 to 5 seconds on each resume that I look at. And then I compare it to the profile. So we're talking like 3 minutes to identify whether I want to talk to somebody or not. The things I look for: precise, concise signals that reduce the doubt that I might have with that individual and makes the next step obvious. So define specialization like we talked about before. Be a clear answer to a single user's needs, not a generalist and fuzzy signals. Hey, I want to be a SOC analyst. Hey, I've been doing this as a SOC analyst in my home lab. I've done these courses. I've got these certifications. Evidence of applied skill, project artifacts like we talked about, code snippets on GitHub that show you did the work, structured communication, write-ups and posts that explain trade-offs and decisions concisely. So structured communication, that is like posts on LinkedIn. Have that every week. And then market awareness. A lot of things that I post are around different things that have just happened: current threats, tooling, how teams measure success, what's going on in the security market. You have to be aware of it and post about it. It's going to increase your marketability tremendously if you do that, because it creates your personal brand, which I think is the crux and the gist of this webinar, is to increase that and increase your chances of getting a job. Let's move on. Okay, final message. All right, again, like I said, personal brand is incredibly important. The cybersecurity landscape right now is incredibly competitive. Therefore, you need to be specific, driven, and go above and beyond what other candidates are doing. If you are not doing that, you're probably not going to get a job. I mean, I hate to be that direct, but it is true. So, precision, targeted artifacts that map to job requirements. If you do not qualify for a job, please do not apply for it. I posted a job the other day and I had a janitor apply to that job. Don't do that. You'll be skipped out on. If you apply to a cloud security engineer job and you're a junior SOC analyst, nobody's going to call you. They're just not. So don't waste your time and do it. I've had people that apply to 1,000 jobs a week and they maybe hear back from 2 because they haven't done these things. So make sure that you're disciplined and have consistent documentation and content cadence with your LinkedIn profile as well as your resume, and make sure that you're doing that on a weekly basis. Again, evidence is incredibly important, making sure that you're able to produce those results from having the home lab and saying, okay, I've done this in my home lab, and um, and I can show you the different things. I'm going to be very detailed with it, and I'll tell you exactly what I did and the measurable results for that particular project that I did at home. So there's all these different things, and I know it was a ton of content, but we do have a couple of minutes for Q&A that I wanted to get into. One more time, I'll say it. We do have supplemental documents that have the home lab as well as some other information. So, let's keep it to, okay, what can I do beyond this or something like that. So we'll,
Thank you.
sure.
Amy, thank you, thank you, thank you. You answered so many of the questions that have been popping in the Q&A, but there's a couple that I want to address. And one of the questions is, will the slides be available? Absolutely. Everybody in attendance will get a copy of the slides, and we will also post this on YouTube. We have Professor Harkins. This is so exciting. Professor Harkins from San Diego State University. He's quite,
Hello.
yeah, he raised his hand. So Anything in particular, Professor Harkins, that you want to address? Let's see if I can. Okay, you are open to
Yeah.
talk.
Can you
Hey,
hear me
Robert.
okay?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Oh, that's wonderful. I just wanted to say thank you so much for this. This is wonderful in talking with our students, and we do a lot of cybersecurity training at San Diego State, but it was just more of a comment in terms of the experiential learning aspect that is so important. Obviously, the resumes and the CVs are important, but with the certifications that our technology students receive, working, specifically with those certifications and then having that read well, on your resume or your CV, and then the opportunity to meet with your hiring managers or hiring panels to explain that work that you've done is such a powerful advantage these days. So I just wanted to share that. And again, thank you for your time, but wonderful information and so supportive of our students and Raíces Cyber.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Harkins. You are
Glad.
truly such an amazing volunteer and partner. We are so grateful for our partnership with San Diego State University. And thanks to you for all the dedication to our students and our cybersecurity community. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So there's a couple of other questions. One of them is, I never realized how important it is to consistently post on LinkedIn. I went to two conferences last year, one in August and one in November. Would it be bad if I post now about
No.
those conferences?
Oh, no, no,
And
no.
I,
Just
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
no. Go ahead and post about it. Say, hey, reflecting back on conferences I went to over the last couple of years, this is what I've learned. I really enjoyed the conference, and you can say that looking back on these conferences that I attended, you don't even have to say the time frame. You can just say, looking back on it, here's what I learned, and post that. And then you can also give a plug for the conference that you attended. They'll love it. They don't care what time it is. They won't care.
Yeah.
Any post is a good post to expose a conference that was valuable to you.
Yeah, and you can always contextualize it, right? So you can say something like, I read this article that reminded me of a topic that I heard in this conference. That way it feels a little bit less awkward, right? But still, making sure that people know that you were present and active in the cybersecurity community. We have a question from Loritza. Go ahead, you're muted.
Hey,
Hey, hi, happy to be here. One thing I wanted to comment on the conference side is that I'm gonna hop on camera here for a sec, and it is that if you can afford a conference, also volunteer is a way to network and get with the community. In my experience, I think what was it, 2 weeks ago? I participated, volunteered for the first time, didn't know the people at the US Cyber games in Virginia. And from that, my network has grown already about 10 more people. And I'm actually in conversations with people that I never would have expected. So whether it is like right now or later, also find a thread in different conferences that you can speak about. Breaking down silos is one very popular. So you can still attach to those topics.
Thank you
exactly.
so
Great
much.
point. Great
Yeah,
point.
that was a really good recommendation. Something that I always do when I go to conferences is I immediately connect with the panelists, and my excuse is saying thank you so much for your panel conversation participation in this conference, so they know that you were there, you were attending, you were listening, and then just ask a straight question and just thank them for being there. Right? It will open doors that you will never could predict, right? Never say never to a connection. You don't know, maybe you are meeting a pen tester and you don't want to go to a pen testing job, but they work in a company that will open a job in another role that you might be interested. So, just think about it broadly. People give jobs to people. People recommend people, that human connection, it's so important. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Amy, if you want to say anything
Yeah,
about that. Mhm.
yes, I do. It's humanizing yourself. It's showing that you're a true human and not just somebody that's applying for a job or somebody that's out there looking for a job. These things with the lab, GitHub links, personal branding, conferences, all these things humanize you. And I'm doing a panel on deepfakes coming up in March. And that's a whole nother animal. Like, you're competing also against people that don't exist, that have the most beautiful resumes. So anything you can do to show yourself as a true human, with conferences, with these lab things, with posting, with working on your personal brand, is only going to help you to stand out. I mean, it really is. Like, we have programs in place that find deep fakes, but they're getting very sophisticated right now. So the more you can do with your personal brand, humanizing yourself, being involved in the community, volunteering, being in conferences, things like that, it'll really help to expand your network and find something for you.
That is right. There's one question, Zane. I see your question. I'm going to address it right after this other one because I want to show you guys a new tool or resource that we have on our website that may answer your question, Zane. So I'll go back to that one. But there's another student who was asking, as a student, I attended various, amount of student-led events. Recently, I participated in a cybersecurity competition for the university, and I did win first place. Oh, congratulations. For the first of three questions. It was simple RSA description involving polars and algorithms. Are simple events like these important to post on LinkedIn?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. First place. I mean, out of how many people?
Yeah.
First place out of 400 people, 1,000 people, things like that. It would be very specific, like I said, and document that info. That is awesome. Congratulations for doing that. But yes, that's stuff you need to post. It can be excited and do a post that says that you attain that honor and how many people were up against you. And that is something that will really stand out. I look at that as a recruiter. I'm like, okay, is it a junior person? Has he done a lot of capture the flag things? Has he won competitions? Was he involved in his college? Things like that. I look for those things, especially with a junior person. And I'm like, oh, he won first place. I'm going to call him.
That is right. That's right. And to address the question that Zain shared with us, and I would love for you to answer this one, and then I'll show everybody the website and the new resources that we have. So Zain asked, is there any document or webinar available that can guide system administrators or engineers to move into a cybersecurity path?
I'm working on it. I'm working on a pivoting
Oh.
webinar that I'm working on now. After the panel in March, that's the next thing, how to pivot. But to be honest, it's similar information. So you're a systems admin. The foundation of cybersecurity is systems and network. I mean, it's network and systems. You have to have that foundation, or it's best if you do, so you can build on that. You've already got a leg up. So what do you do next? Get a home lab, maybe get some certifications if you can find them for free. There's some certifications with LinkedIn, things like that. But there's people that I am seeing that are able to transfer over their skills from systems admin over to, like a security engineer role. It just depends on what you're doing on your off time and what effort you're putting into learning cybersecurity, like going to those conferences. I have managers that are like, look, if they have a systems administration background and they can learn security, I'll bring them on. But I need to know that they're passionate about it and they're doing something about it on their own time.
Fantastic. And I'm just going to share really quickly the new resources that we have on our website, right? So here, when you go to, let me make sure, yeah. This is our homepage, right? And we decided to basically summarize all the programs that we have, and you can learn more by touching this. But when you go to our program, guys, and please pay attention to this, because this is where we summarize all the resources that we have in our partners under steps to build your cyber career. What we've done is in a very plain, step by step, right? How do you start figuring out what your career is going to be? Like, do you like a career that allows you to travel? Do you want to work from anywhere in the world? Do you enjoy being in a computer set 24/7? All of that, it's considered in this assessment that will take you to then recommendations of cybersecurity careers that you can follow. Under the CyberSeek, one of our partners, you can find out more about the demand of those careers and the salaries that are, being paid right now. Then you can go into understanding what are the certifications that you need for those specific roles. Raíces Cyber has many free certifications that are available to our members and community. Then if you need experiential learning, and guys, I cannot stress this enough, this is the biggest challenge. People study certifications, but they don't have experience, hands-on experience, and that is going to be critical to be hired. So you can join our Cyber Pros program that is starting in March, or you can go to the asynchronous Cyber Master program that we have. This is all on our website. You simply press and apply. Then stop readiness. We have an amazing YouTube channel. Thank you, Amy, because you were the one that helped us with the recording of how to make your resume stand out, how to make your cover letter stand out. And then getting a job, besides this seminar, we have a great announcement. And I told you guys, because you were here, you're going to hear it first, and you can get ahead of the game. Amy is going to start an amazing cohort called Cyber Hire Accelerator. So this is a program where Amy is going to help a very small group cohort to get everything ready, be job ready, and start seeking for job opportunities with you, to vet them, to make sure that, okay, this does synchronize, or wait, you might be missing this piece. How do we do that? And after you get that awesome job, which I'm sure you will with our Canadian help, then you become a donor or a volunteer for Raíces, right? Talking about full circle. Super important to do that. And I want to emphasize, and I will share now our presentation. Let me stop share and share again. So you guys have the opportunity to scan our code and join our community. So scan this code to join the community, to find out more about our membership programs, but also to find out what's coming up next, right? And here we have the website that you can go to. But talking about what we can do next, and this is super exciting, right? So Amy will be joining us on a conference in March. You will receive more information about this conference, because on top of all the complexities that exist when applying for a job and starting your cybersecurity pathway, we have a new challenge: deep fakes, I should say, deep fakes. Can you talk a little bit about that webinar that will be coming up, and why is that important for job seekers?
Sure. I have gathered a group of panelists. There's going to be 3 security leaders that have had experiences with deepfakes. And what I mean by that is people applying to jobs that are pretend. They don't exist. They've got a revenue or a AI generated resume. They have somebody that can do a video interview. And then sometimes if it's in person, somebody else shows up for that job. But a lot of times it's remote hire, and you send your laptop and give all your credentials to this person. And then it's usually from North Korea and some other places. I mean, I don't want to be whatever, but the reality is that in the job market, you're competing against people that look fantastic, but are pretend. And so what do we do as a community to humanize ourselves? And a lot of it's going to come from this webinar also. But what can we do to humanize ourselves to stand out against these deepfakes? But I have, like I said, 3 security leaders. I also have somebody from a verification company, just got that today. that helps to verify whether somebody is an actual real person or not. So he's going to attend, and I also have a HR and TA person that's had those experiences that are going to attend. So it's going to be 5 different people.
Amazing.
It's going to be March 20th, I believe, because I'm making sure everybody's available. But it's going to be incredibly interesting. I'm sorry. It's going to be incredibly interesting and a lot of content that we can use from a educational standpoint. But also, like I said, we're going to pull into some of this content to help us humanize ourselves to combat those issues and those folks that are not real. I mean, it's becoming more sophisticated every day. So, but we just do the best we can. And as long as if we can get more information as a collective, then we're just going to be stronger.
Thank you, Amy, so much for your time. We're out of time, but thank you everybody for attending. Remember, go to the website to apply for Cyber Hire because it's going to be a very, small group. And stay in tune of our next, with our next webinars. I'm looking forward to that one too. Amy, as always, gracias, amiga. Thank you, my friend. We're so honored to have you with us. And thank you, Professor Harkins, for popping. It was great to hear you. So
Thank
have
you.
a have a great day, guys, and let's continue this conversation, okay? We're here to help. Raíces Cyber is behind you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for
Bye.
joining. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Amy. Bye.